Well, hello, my name is Lena Ferrari, and here I am with my expert, Lisa Tercero. And we're going to discuss a little about the topic that I choose, that is the pine beetle bug. I choose my expert Lisa because I know her, and she has been working in the topic of the pine beetle bug about 2 years in the natural reserve of Yerba Buena. So I talked with her a little 1 year ago, I think so, and I like the ideas that she transmit to me. So I choose her because I think that she's a very prepared person and she has been involved in the topic. So, hi Lisa, how are you?
Well, hi Leonard, how are you? Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure that you chose me like to make this interview. So I'm gonna be answering any questions that you're asking.
Okay, so I have about 10 questions that I'm going to ask you, and let's start.
Okay.
And so, I read a little about the topic. I'm not like with empty hands, so I read a little. And
Okay.
everyone wants to stop the growth of the pine beetle bug. People try different methods to control it. I have heard that people it's cutting and burning the trees. So, what do you think about this idea? Can burn the trees control the propagation of the bug? I mean, I don't think so, but I see that all the people is doing this and I don't know why. So tell me, is this really functional or not?
Okay, I'm gonna clarify that to you. Well, first of all, everyone thinks that the infected trees will be destroyed when they do this. The plague will die too. But the ability of reproduction of this bug is very effective, and there can exist way more infected trees than what we think. We don't actually know the numbers of infected trees. So while we are cutting one tree, another seven more are already infected. So it is totally ineffective to cut the trees because we cannot detect the trees that are in the first step of infections. We are just like blindly cutting trees. We don't know which ones are and which ones are not. So this is not a viable process.
So I think, you're telling me that it's not functional, right?
Yep.
So I thought about a little about the of the emissions. I mean, they're burning the trees, and do you think that if they're burning the trees is more the emissions they are causing, right? So they're not controlling
Yes,
the
I
plague.
mean,
They're not controlling the plague.
no, they no, this is not a way to control it. It is, I mean, people think that it is a way, but it's actually not a way to do it.
Okay. So, go to the next questions. I have
Okay.
seen many places infected with this bug, and many experts have different theories. As I told you before, I read a little, and some people say that some things that are kind of different, have different ideas. So it's true that the infections start because of the burns left with the trees, in why the healthy trees are infected, because yes, here in Honduras we have a lot of burns, natural burns or burns caused because of the human hand. But if it's true that the weak trees are the ones that are infected, why the healthy trees are infected too?
Okay, look, this bug has actually always existed in nature. This bug just attacks weak trees. But with the big growth of this plague, the weak trees weren't just enough food. So finally, the insects started to attack stronger trees. But yes, it is true that everything started with the debilitation of the forest. I mean, when you just have a weak host, that does not help on anything when there's like this invasor. So you this bug just needs like more. It needs more nutrients. So it was not getting the nutrients out of the weak trees. So it needed something more healthy. So that's the reason why it started attacking like from the weak to the stronger ones.
Okay, so some people say that with the rain, these little insects will go and stop to grow up, but it doesn't happen. I mean, here in Honduras, the rain starts about 4 months ago or 3 months ago. I'm not really sure, but I have seen everything in the same way. I go to Tegucigalpa and I'm seeing cutted trees, burned trees, and I see that spots that are coral orange. So is the weather a key factor to the excessive production of this bug? Can the bad weather or the global warming helping this bug to reproduce?
Yes, definitely. I mean, everyone knows that because of the dry weather, most of the trees are just weak, and the fires in the forest are just out of control here in Honduras. By many natural causes, it can be for natural cause, it can be for human created causes. So the bad weather helps the growth of the insect. Of course, we are the ones that create the imbalance in the climate. As you said, I mean, there are a lot of natural processes for nature, but we humans are always the one that are just enlarging them. So yes, the weather, it's actually a very like, it's one of the most important factors that should be treated and should be studied when we are talking about this bug. So yes, the climate is definitely a problem. The imbalance, it's not the climate, it's the imbalance of the climate that makes this. So
Okay.
it is actually very damaging.
So the bugs actually can reproduce better in a warm place, right?
Yes, in a dry place, definitely, because uh, rain helps. So if we're not having enough rain, it goes dry, everything goes warm, and this is actually one of the quickest one of the quicker ways for this bug just to propagate around.
Okay. So go to the next question. All the scientists are investigating how to stop this little bug because it's a social problem and it's a very big problem. But no one have done nothing yet. Almost in Honduras. I don't know in the USA or in other places, but here in Honduras, the investigation have been very bad. And now I know that they can't apply chemicals because they will kill everything. I mean, you can just say, I'm going to apply this chemical because you're going to kill animals, insects, everything. So, why is so hard to introduce a biological control that it's something natural, that it's something that it's not uh, making a damage to the nature?
Well, as you know, everything in science just needs way too much studies. If we introduce an insect that attacks the bug, we will be able to control it. But the biological control can be able to attack other insects and make a bigger imbalance in the nature. I mean, we can try to start this control, but we are not going to be able to control it later on because those are just natural biological causes that we are not going to be able to have any control over. So, for example, when once this bug is out there attacking one insect, it can. How are we going to stop it from attacking other insects? So, it's it's going to create a bigger imbalance in the nature, and we got no control whatsoever on this.
Okay, so it's not that easy. It's not that easy because as you're
No,
saying, it can attack other insects and you will make a bigger problem.
exactly. Yeah. That's it. That's it is. So we are we can be exposing we can be exposing this answer and exposing just other insects to be attacked by one bug that attacked just one. So that needs just wait that needs more studies. You cannot just do it on just a little study. It needs a lot of studies, and as I told you, we are not later on going to be able to control it. So that's going to be a disadvantage for us.
Okay, so it's for me it's incredible. I mean, we're humans and we're destroying everything, but it's incredible how this little insect can destroy a forest. How this can reproduce and make wow, very big damage. So how can this insect kill a tree?
Well, let me explain something to you, okay? The trees have three parts. Number one, the marrow. number two, the xylem, and the phloem. The phloem is the part of the tree that is beneath the cortex, and it is also the part of the tree that brings all the nutrients to the soil. So the bug makes too much damage in this part because it's the one that's receiving the nutrients. It's like the weakest part. So it is not actually that it is attacking the entire tree. It is just attacking like the heart of the tree. It is attacking the weakest part. So once you attack something by its weak part, it is actually really, really easy for it to just keep on attacking the entire tree. So that's actually the cause, and that is the one that just causes more disasters later on.
Interesting. So they do not attack the marrow. They just attack the phloem.
Yes, exactly. They just attack it because they know it's the weakest part. So it's the easiest way into the tree.
Okay. So, well, I have heard that exist many fungus in the world that can control other insects. Some of the fungus can kill bugs, and exist many kind of fungus that can kill this insect. Or I mean, exist any kind of fungus that can kill this insect, and if that exists, why people is do not using this control to kill the bug?
Okay, that's a good question. Now, I'm going to explain something to you here. There are actually two types of fungus that are very effective to control it. The Metarhizium number one and number two, it's the Beauveria. But the problem are two things. We have two problems here. First of all, the fungus has to enter in contact with the insect in order to make an effect. But this little insect lives in little holes, and the fungus just makes no damage to it because it cannot touch it. It is way too little for the fungus to touch it. And number two is the fungus is just way too expensive, and we don't have the resources here.
Okay. Interesting, because I have go to the landscapes, and I have seen the trees. That it's true. They have little holes around, so it's interesting because I have thinking about why we don't use fungus in order to control it, but now I know that it's impossible because if they do not enter in contact with the insect, they will not make any damage.
Yes, it's gonna be totally useless. That's the point. It's not gonna help at all.
Okay, so well, some plagues can attack a very big gamma of plants. I mean, here in Zamorano we have a little problem with the white fly. The white fly can attack a very big gamma of plants. If you put it in a tomato, they will attack the tomato. If you put it in a potato, they will attack the potato. And this insect attacks everything, and kills everything. So why the pine beetle bug just attack this kind of plant?
Okay, the answer for that one is because the pine beetle bug, it has an enzyme that helps taking the nutrients from the pine wood and the sap of the pine, can making a damage to the pine beetle bug. So this is the reason, because it has this enzyme that it's helpful to just take out the nutrients out of the pine wood.
Okay, so that's the reason they do not have the enzymes to dissolve or to take the nutrients for other kind of plant. So it's not functional. They eat other kind of plant, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so well, I have analyzed the topic on class because we have a class of ecology, and I talked with my master, and I want to know if my idea is correct. I read a little about that it have existed this kind of attack before. The thing is that these insects have attacked the woods before in mass and have killed massive quantity of trees. So I thought a little, and I asked to my ecology professor, and I want to know your opinion. Is this a natural process? Is this disaster, this kind of disaster, is a natural process, or it's totally responsible of this problem?
Well, we have to make the difference here. It is actually a cycle that we say it is natural, because the forest makes just its natural process to restore itself, but its it's created by human emissions. I mean, we're the ones who are kind of attacking the forest, so the forest has to restore itself. So we are the ones that are destroying nature, and because of that, the forest needs to find a way to restore itself. So we are the ones that are just damaging the forest, but we are not repairing them. So if we are not repairing them, who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it? So the forest needs just to restore itself. So yes, it is a cycle, but we are interrupting the cycle.
Okay, interesting, because so that means that the forest use this cycle to make kind of stronger and bigger trees.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It just makes it stronger for itself.
Okay. So well, many animals need other animals to survive. Okay, so I read a little and I find that there is a fungus, a blue fungus that lives in some symbiosis with the bug. So why this bug need this fungus? I mean, what is so important?
Well, that's very simple. It just helps. It's a protection, okay? It helps like a protection of the attack of other insects, and it helps a little the decomposition of food for the little larva. So it's protective for other insects.
So it helps like I will say before of the biological control. They use their own control, their own fungus to attack other insects. Okay,
Yes.
that's kind of interesting. Well, and we have the last question. We know that the
Okay.
problem that we have the technology, exists the problem, and we have the technology, we have the researchers, we have the scientists doing the specific area in Honduras. So in Honduras, what we have to do in order to control this pine beetle bug? Why what we're doing, what the scientists are doing, what people like you or I don't know other kind of investigators are doing to control the areas that are targeted specific in Honduras.
Okay, in my personal experience, we have an investigation center, okay? We know that it is a massive problem here in Honduras, and we obviously need to do something about it, but we don't have to interrupt the natural process. That's just how I mentioned before. We do not have to interrupt it. We need to help the nature identify the places that are the strongest one, the natural regeneration and the trees to help them grow better. We do not have to interrupt. We need to encourage it, okay? Here in Honduras, we're trying to maintain the principle of big forests and the natural reserves. We're doing a lot of things to try just to not to damage forests or to damage nature. We're just trying to help it in its natural process. We are not here to interrupt. We're just here to make it easier for nature.
Okay, so that's all my questions, and thanks for your time, Lisa. I know that it's Saturday and it's kind of hard to you, but thanks for take the time to hear my questions, and we're all in contact, and thanks for everything.